last year, and the first one selected this year, Hart Lee Dykes, taken by the New England Patriots in the 16th position. So it's been a rather speedy first round. It has not been a round where we've seen a lot of wide receivers go, so your top guy is still out there, as well as Sean Collins. Interesting, he was, what, a tight end in college, but you project him as a wide receiver in the NFL.
Well, he's only 6'1½", 205, so he will definitely be a wide receiver. He's got good speed, he's got great hands. Sean Collins should be a late first, early second round pick. I'm sure a team like the Lions, who are going to that run and shoot, and now have Barry Sanders, would love to have a wide receiver like Sean Collins or Lawyer Tillman or Peebles. There's going to be some great receivers on the board in the early second for teams that definitely need help at that position.
All right, we're waiting on the rounds. They have 3 minutes to make the first of their 2 first-round selections. We'll see if anything is perking in the way of a trade. There are plummeting picks and some outrageous fortune for the Rams when we come back. Christian trade. All right, if I had to pin you down, not to what you would pick, but what you think they will do, what will they do? Rison?
I'd take Rison.
You would, would they?
Will they? Probably not. They will probably force a defensive line need here, and there are several. We haven't even mentioned the Stewart brothers, Alex and Andrew Stewart, who at one time figured in the late first, early second
Hawkins,
round.
Rondi Weston.
Mitchell Benson, Rondi Weston, Hawkins. These are the defensive linemen there. But my pick would be Rison, obviously, but I don't think they will.
Statman's last draft after 29 years as National Football League Commissioner. Pete Rozelle will shortly have the announcement as the card is up at the podium. The Rams pick. Pete Rozelle, once the GM of the Rams, way back when.
Rams first-round selection. Bill Hawkins, defensive end, Miami.
Well, whether it's a force, time will tell. Defensive, as you said, Mel, is not the selection you would make, but it is the selection the Rams would make now with the Colts up on deck. Bill Hawkins, defensive end out of Miami. And so for a team that really had a lot of needs and has pretty well defined them, this is their first round.
Well, one thing about this, which was different in New Orleans, Bill Hawkins was the best defensive lineman on the board. I thought he should have gone to the Saints. So if you're talking about just drafting the best player at a position of need, they did it. But they passed on the best overall player in Rison. You can see Hawkins, he's not that big. He's only 260 pounds, but he's got tremendous movement, almost has that agility of a linebacker that you're looking for. Good pass rusher. Does a great job against the run. A complete player, but not a dominant player.
Part of an outstanding front line. Brown, Stubbs, Hawkins up there, and an outstanding student. He earned his degree, in fact, played as a postgraduate, earned his bachelor's in business with a 3.0 over 8-point average last year. So he's got what it takes to read. What reading you do in the trash up front.
He does, and now we have, of course, the Indianapolis Colts sitting there with this pick, and I'm sure Ron Meyer's ecstatic right now. When you have players like Oliver and Rison and Lawyer Tillman still there, if he passes on one of those 3 players, then you got to believe something's wrong with their board, because these 3 players should be in your top 10, and they're picking with the 22nd pick, and they're definitely getting value with this choice.
Well, Louis Oliver thought that by this point, certainly on this draft day Sunday, he would already know who his future employer would be, but he has not learned that. Andrea Kramer standing by in Winnetka, Illinois, at the home of his agent. Andrea, what's happening? Is Louis disappointed?
Thank you, Bob. Well, I would venture to say that, yes, Louis is disappointed. One thing, though, when a player stays around this late, unfortunately, I think some rumors have to start, and some rumors have. Louis, have you ever had any problems with drugs? Have there ever been any drug tests that you have failed or refused to take?
I've never failed a drug test. I don't know why someone wants to say that I'm on drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I've taken every test that was given to me, so I don't know who started this rumor that I'm on drugs, so I think that's the reason that no one has picked me up yet.
You expected to go in the 12th or by the 12th or 13th pick. Needless to say, you're a little bit disappointed. You did not want to come down before. Why now?
Well, the PR person from Zucker Sports Management came up and told me that there was a rumor going around that I was on drugs and had failed a drug test, so I felt that was the reason I hadn't got picked up yet, so I came down to clarify that.
Have there ever been any problems with storage? No. Do you have any reason why your stock possibly could have plummeted like this?
No, I don't. I don't take steroids. I work out hard all the time. I run all the time, so I don't know why someone wants to say I failed drug tests. I mean, I took the test at the combine all throughout my career at Florida, so I've never failed a drug test at all.
Well, we thank you very much for talking to us. I know it's a difficult time, and Louis, at least will probably end up going to a contender at this point by going this late in the draft. The one good thing. Let's head to break right now. Stay with us.
I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set.
Sold trade last year. Sold part of Buddy Ryan's, and Buddy goes about it every which way. He was so happy last year when he had Keith Jackson, the tight end, available. Wait to see what happens with the Colts, with Andre Rison still out there, with Louis Oliver out there, and we've heard the rather frank discussion between Andrea and Louis Oliver about the rumors. And this is a non-believing society. We were talking about this yesterday at length, how people want to believe bad things about people, unfortunately, when things like that crop up and people's names begin plummeting, and Louis says, I have passed every drug test, I've never refused to take one.
Well, it's true, and when you look at Rison and Oliver, I think that they'll go in this spot, and it's going to be a contender. So I think they're going to be in good shape in the long run. Naturally, they're going to pay the price as far as their contract initially is concerned, but overall, it can benefit a player because he's going to be in the playoffs or possibly a Super Bowl early in his career.
Well, the NFL drug testing policy is in effect, as well as a steroid policy as well for this coming year. And we're, of course, waiting for the Rams to make their second selection in a bit, Kevin Kiley. They've already made one in this first round.
Thank you, Bob. I'm here with head coach John Robinson of the Rams. John, are you a little bit surprised that Bill Hawkins was left at this point in the draft?
Oh, I think when you get into this thing, you can't worry about surprises. We thought he'd be picked somewhere around our pick, perhaps a little earlier, but he provides for us that pass rusher type of player, that profile, that tall, rangy player. He's been a consistent performer for Miami, and we think his best football is ahead of him. We've had a lot of frustration over the years trying to find that type of player, that type of pass rusher, and once we saw him there, we were determined to have him.
I know talking to Fritz Sherman, the defensive coordinator for the Rams earlier, was saying, gee, we just haven't been able to hit that defensive lineman. Do you feel you've hit one?
Well, we certainly hope so, yes. So we do feel, we feel that Bill's a very bright young man. Has proven that he can be successful. He's played in a great program, a club there where he's used to winning, and that's always an important factor. Each year in the draft, there are receivers that seem to be there each year, but the defensive end has been an elusive character.
Okay, John, the Colts are getting ready to pick. Thanks so much for coming out. See you, and we'll see you a little later after those other picks. Okay, back to Chris Berman.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. And here's the Colts pick, please. Isn't it Andre Rison by now? From Philadelphia. Pick in the round sold.
Indianapolis Colts take in the Philadelphia spot in the first round by virtue of the previous trade agreement. Andre Rison, wide receiver, Michigan State.
Well, like we
Next
said,
up, Houston.
Andre Rison is going to a team. Joe dropped him down from Michigan. So we've been waiting to show these highlights for a couple hours.
Oh, these are highlights.
We're very happy to show them to you because this guy was rated #1 on a lot of everyone's list as wide receiver. 146 career catches, broke Kirk Gibson's all-time record for receiving yardage with almost 3,000 yards. In the Gator Bowl, 9 catches, 252 yards, 4 TDs. Joe, I know you remember that. But 3 touchdown passes in the Hula Bowl, and is such a good athlete that his sophomore and especially his junior year, he plays in the Rose Bowl and then plays 6th man on the basketball team. Not this past year. He's 6th man on a Big Ten basketball team. What kind of athlete is Andre Rison? I'll tell you what, Ron Meyer can't believe that they had such a shot to get a receiver like this. And again, Tommy, we talked about it, and Joe, he's going to a team, it's going to cost him money, but he's going to a team that can get into playoffs right away, and was a year ago.
Well, he'll make that money up, Chris. The difference between being chosen as those first 10 players, second 10 players, last 8 is substantial. But what you're talking about, a kid now who may miss the dollars coming out, but his team hopefully will be in the playoffs year in, year out. He'll make that money back along the way.
There's are the receivers that the Colts have.
And they really need them. Clarence Verdine comes over from the Redskins. Matt Booza, not real burners. Billy Brooks, pretty fast. And Clarence Weathers, still in the 7th, still unproven. I think this is a perfect situation for Andre Rison. You know, we get all wrapped up with money for these kids. First 10, second 10, third 10. I don't think that's necessarily that big a factor. This kid is a quality first-round pick. It just so happens that Indianapolis has improved himself to be a pretty good football team. It doesn't mean that they still aren't going to be able to pay that kind of money. The one catch he made there was 4th and 21. He reminds me of a Ricky Sanders that the Washington Redskins have. His movements, his running ability, and the one thing when I worked the Gator Bowl this year that impressed me more than anything is his work habits. He was diving around on a field, making catches, getting ready for a bowl game just to try and help his football team win. The Indianapolis Colts have got themselves a real